makes me wonder what's falling down on me. The sky, the sky, the sky's falling.
Greetings, everyone. Rev.Hawksblood here. I'm calling from the big island of Hawaii. It's crazy windy outside right now. You hear banging and stuff. It's the wind. But if you see the topic today, I think it's the most important topic on the planet or ever in history due to the problem, what's going on with every aspect of it. We're going to start a couple different sections today. This will be part one. I'll probably do another part to this. But I want to start with the simplest thing, the basic thing that has programmed, or what is the program that most people accept. Now, I've been doing this show for many years. So in the interim, I just got somebody calling in. I can't do it right now. Sorry. So let me get back to this. The thing that's happening, what people say, and you talk to anybody, if you're talking about spiritual things or you try to get into it, they're going to say, well, no one knows the truth. And you're going to start telling yourself the same thing after you hear that about 100 times, if you're not already saying that. And most people say that because they have zero truth to begin with. Now, when you read books, no matter how new or how old the writings are, the older they are doesn't make them real. If they're 1,000 years old, they're 10,000 years old, they're 100,000 years old, doesn't make them real just because they're old. Who wrote them? The Bible was written by men, just ordinary men. Jesus didn't write the Bible. Now, when we go back to the Emerald Tablets, that's a different story. When we go to the Sumerian tablets and all the other things, they're all different stories. But when you hear people like Zecharia Sitchin talking about the Anunnaki, written by who? The Anunnaki? Can anybody prove that they're real people? There were many races here on this planet, and none of them had any truth. Now, look at the pyramids, and that's one of the biggest issues among ancient aliens and things like that. 15 years later, they're still saying the same old thing. Don't you think that's a little retarded? Sorry for the wrong word. Messed up. We deal with things over and over. Just because you talk about it again and again doesn't give you any more information. It doesn't make it real. When people go on about the pyramids, like it's going to save the planet, it's going to save people. Well, it was this, that, or the other thing. Even if aliens did it, or demons, or entities, who cares? It's not helping us right now, and it will not. Now, we want to know the truth about that as we move along. The Egyptians work with an alien race. Their own writings, their own hieroglyphics, and whatever you want to call it, they're all lies. Their idea of reincarnation is all lies. What they did, how they prepared for it, and all the things were wrong. And then when you go into sacrifice, all right, let me just close this out. Somebody's trying to text me in Skype. But we can go over that one day, just the Egyptians or the Mayans, the Aztecs, what their belief was, what they did, and how they respected their own belief, what they do. Sacrifice is not a part of God's laws. Torture and things like that are not a part of spiritual laws. So when people think a religion is spiritual, by what grounds? They don't know what the word spiritual means. It was created by a man, but what it should mean, I should say. Some man had a weird idea and said, oh, this is spiritual. What does that mean to the average person? Most people think they are. How do you become spiritual? What happens to you when you become a spiritual person when you weren't? I'm spiritual now. Now what do I do? Oh, I'm a holy roller. What am I? Nothing different. Your ego is more powerful, getting more control over you. That's all it means. Doesn't mean you could raise ships out of the ocean or planes out of the ocean or levitate a car or things like that. Of course not. But what does it mean? You spread the word of God? Do you know God? Do you know what God wants and created for us and what we're doing for or against it? Very few people have a clue. The Bible was written by a bunch of men, and even the Ten Commandments was by Moses, but he created 63 laws. But let's go back to the Old Testament was written mostly, the whole beginning was written by Moses. But when we move into the New Testament, 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, only 2 of them were disciples of Jesus, people. The other 2 were evangelists. Look up the definition of evangelist, what they were. One followed Peter and one followed Paul. Paul never met Jesus in the physical body, all right? So his teachings were in a vision. So, like I said, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Matthew, Mark, and Luke were the evangelists, and John was a disciple. So each one of them had their own truth. But when you read them, you'll notice plagiarism in both chapters that they wrote. Because they were just following somebody. It wasn't their truth. Now, and that's just the Bible. What do you think happened when the Egyptians were working with aliens? What do you think happened? Well, for one, they were all taken out. All the races were taken out. And it was recently when the white and English people, the English, the British, and the Spanish took out the native people. Whose idea was that? Whose decision? Well, George Washington and Jefferson were the biggest Native American killers in the United States. And presidents, really? People, when we talk about truth, and I said, whose truth do you want to hear? Theirs, yours, mine. Well, most people say, well, that's your truth. That's only your truth. Well, the same I would say to you. That's only your truth. But there is a truth. If I take a gun, put it in your face, and squeeze the trigger, you're gone. That's the truth. You're not going to just say, well, I can make the bullet disappear, I could disappear and come back. No, there's a truth to everything. Whether you want to accept it or not is the problem. Most people are happy with their lies that they created, no matter how bad or how stupid or whatever. They'll believe them. So let's start when you're born. Do you have any truth? Well, guess what? You really do. When soul steps into a body, it's an aware entity. But it's dealing with a brain. It's like you're a baby and somebody puts a computer in front of you. Can you use it? Of course not. You have to learn how to use it. So soul has to relearn how to use the stupid body that it's in. And it is a stupid body. Because it doesn't understand what it's trying to say or use or teach it. And it very seldom happens in any way where the body recognizes soul and understands what it's saying. Sure, you'll get a message, a nudge, or an awareness of something, but actually being able to understand yourself and listen to what you're telling yourself. And I'm not talking about mind or ego. All right, that's another perversion. But when you're talking to yourself, you're talking to soul. If you can raise your awareness beyond the mind. Now, obviously, teaches toward the opposite. Buddhism is not one of the biggest religions. But because of Buddha, he created the ideas that were accepted through many of the newer religions coming out. They don't use the word Buddhism or Hinduism. Hinduism was first, then it became Buddhism because they moved up to Tibet and mountains, and then they created new deities. And do you even know what a deity is? All right. So, but what's sad, they believe in deities, but they don't believe in God. Now, if you go back to beginning of religion, which is Hinduism, the different deities came here for different teachings. Shiva, obviously, the most important. Then you got Grintara, who stayed with Buddhism as well as Tibetan. All right. And they made different levels of her and colors of her and all that. But again, she's a real deity. So Shiva. But the problem is they pulled away from this world because of the ignorance of it. Read the story of Shiva. There's two stories. One's one way and one's the other. But read it. They're pretty pathetic. What Shiva's the creator destroyer. All right, Grintara is a totally different aspect of love, compassion, and all those words. Considering love didn't exist until 2,000 years ago. It didn't. No such thing as love. Women are barely being respected and loved to the point where they should be. I can get into that. My book's coming out, and it's all about women, what they should do, what they shouldn't do, and how to understand a man's ego or man's mind, which is perverted and twisted. And every man knows it. They won't admit it, and they'll still put women down. And women are being pulled and twisted and shoved into these positions where they really don't want to be. Their truth. What's a woman's truth versus a man's truth? Women are compassionate. Men usually are not in any way. Women are more loving. Men usually are not. Sex is more important to men at every level, no matter how rich or poor they are. And the poorer they are, the more children they have because they have nothing else to do. Problem. What do these people teach their children? This is where the concept of programming starts. Child born, comes home, opens its eyes finally to see light, and then see shades. But it hears your voice, hears sounds. When's the programming starting? When a parent goes, goo goo, goo goo, ga ga ga, why would you say that to a child? And then what do you teach your child when he starts talking? Sure, daddy and mommy, right? Hungry. What else do you teach your child? What do you teach your child spiritually or religiously or any aspect of that when they're tiny? Nothing. Playing music for a child is important, but what kind of music do you play? Another important thing that very few people understand. Music is a really important thing in a spiritual unfoldment. It can help incredibly, and especially a child. Even when the child's in the womb, playing music helps the body of the child. The soul doesn't step into it right away. The child's not really alive. But the brain is inside that child already, growing, being programmed. Every thought a child gets becomes a wrinkle in their brain. And it's always there. Whether you ever tune into it later on or not, it's a different story. When you see now, all those wrinkles are there, but you can't touch them. It's like your computer shut off and you can't get into it. There's so many things that people don't want to relate to or understand. Birth, childbirth, child death. I mean, when a child borns within the first week, it dies. Do anybody understand crib death? Oh, well, that's this. Oh, it doesn't happen that much anymore. It does happen. It still happens. But people are happy with their programmed truth. Now, let's go back to that. Child becomes what, 4 or 5, and it's actually able to talk. And it starts to understand it. I mean, it could happen around 3. But during that time frame, what are they learning? What are they being taught? Superman, Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Boogeyman. Really, what are you teaching your children? Why? because your fathers taught you, your mother taught you, their grandfathers taught them, their great grandfathers taught them the same ridiculous, stupid story. But here's the thing, you get all these lies put in the poor little child's brain. Oh, God's real. Oh, God, God, God. And then he turns 7, 8, 9. Well, Superman's not real. Santa Claus isn't real. The Easter Bunny's not real. The stork's not real. Oh, God is real. And that's what a lot of parents program their children. Are they supposed to believe it? You fed them all these lies, and now they're supposed to believe this one is not a lie like everything else you fed them? Programming is horrible because most people program without even awareness of what they're doing. All right, now they get 6, 7, 8. Where did they go? What are they learning? Doing better. What are they learning, people? Not much. Because they're being put in school, grade school, kindergarten, and what are they learning there? Kindergarten is not too much learning of anything. Coloring, pasting, gluing. First grade, start reading. I mean, when I read in school, I was learning by cards up until 3rd grade. I never learned to read right because we saw sight reading. We saw words and we just said what they were. We didn't sound them out. We didn't understand that even. And I have a bad time with writing and spelling and all those words. On top of that, I have dyslexia. So my words go backwards and forth, like God and dog. I write the opposite all the time. Who and how. I mean, little words are more complicated in my brain than bigger words because it's easy to reverse them. Numbers are easy to reverse, 69, 96, or whatever. Things like that. But in school, I hated it. Why? Because I felt I wasn't learning a thing. And you're not. When you get into the higher grades, what are you learning? About the world, the United States, countries, what they do, what they eat. What else are you learning? You're not learning religion unless you go to a Catholic school. But my brother went to a Catholic college, and you learn two sides, religion and then that it's not real. We play this game, and here's the truth and here's the lies, but you push them together, and it's what you end up learning. Nothing. All right. So when they're reaching what, 14, they really want to learn to be by themselves, learn something by themselves and things like that. But they're fed all these programs which are in their brain. So how many children can just say, well, I don't want to be a Catholic no more. I don't want to be a Protestant no more. I don't want to be Jewish no more. I don't want to be this, that. And you're not allowed to. Your parents won't let you. Oh, no, you got to be this. You got to be that. You got to follow this. And if you notice today, you watch shows like 60 Days and all these different time frames, 90-day romance and things like that. Families are still the same. Different religions are very much the same as they were 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago. And women are always the victim, people. What does that have to do with spiritualism? Nothing. How could a religion claim to be religious because it's a man-made word, but what does religious mean? You follow a programmed idea. Of what? Of something. Muslims follow the idea that Muhammad spoke with Gabriel. Gabriel, if you read it over a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, you'll see that it's contradictory, everything Gabriel's saying to him. And he really didn't even know who he was talking to. His brother goes, well, you know who you're talking to? You're talking to Gabriel. How would his brother know? It's so ridiculous the way people create their own stories from a twisted idea. Now, I say this because I'm in the UFO world. I did Ghostbusting, you name it. How do you know what soul comes to you, who they really are, or what they really are? images is how most people perceive what they're talking to. And in the UFO world, it's, well, they're wearing a white robe, they got blue eyes, and they got hair, and they're tall, blonde hair. It means they're spiritual? Jesus didn't have that. How did he come up with that idea that blonde hair is spiritual? Blue eyes is spiritual? It's anything but. Things like that don't make you spiritual, don't make anything around you spiritual. So when we talk about alien races, then you talk about color and hair and height and things like that, because different races have different images. The tall whites, all right? Not a good, well, it depends what race you talk about. There's 9 races here that are dealing with us directly, mostly bad. So when we talk about the tall whites, what are they doing? Well, the United States government didn't want to work with them. The let's see, the Greys, reptilians, and the Nordics are another race that people think are spiritual because they're tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. No, they're not people. They ride on a ship with reptilians. Seriously. I've been in this world all my life, people. I worked with people when I was 17, 18. I was doing past life regression. I did a lot of things that very few people did. I was doing ghost busting, you name it. I was a high priest at 16. How many people can say any of that and understand it or even know much about it? I challenged every high priest or person that thought they were any given time. I said, if you're a black magician, you're not a high priest. You're a low priest. You're working from the darkness. But that's a little bit different story. All right. People don't even know the difference between right and wrong yet. Or people think there is no such thing as wrong. Really? Then you get people that don't believe this is reality is real. Really? This is all a dream. Really? You know what I say to people that say this is a dream? Wake up. Change the dream. If your dream sucks, how about you make a better one? They don't. They can't. Because this is hell. It doesn't get better now. We were in a beautiful place a long time ago. It was destroyed. We never came back. We became massive killers, rapists, sacrificing people. All those things, people. Not a natural thing. Not a common event in a person growing. You have to be taught a lot of things. Now, one thing that people don't understand either, when you reincarnate, which everybody does many times, there's things that you take with you. You know, I didn't understand a lot of things when I was younger, but there was a special on TV about young children doing perverted things on regular TV. Now, they showed children taking their cat, throwing it out the window. They show children coming into their mother's room with a knife and trying to stab her. They show girls masturbating in the store and things like that at 4 years old. Where do you think that comes from, people? They weren't taught that. Not in this lifetime. People don't understand it. Oh, reincarnation's not real. Oh, it isn't? You know, somebody could go pick up, stand in front of a piano and start playing it. Oh, they got a special gift. Yeah, they were a pianist, played piano in another lifetime. Soul doesn't forget anything, but it comes into a mind that's locked into a program. That program is based on man's thinking and programming. Back to programming. A child at 14 to 18 is now becoming sexually active, which becomes the biggest and most important thing in all men's life. Not God, not spiritual, not anything else. But you know, what underrides that is sports for men, most men. I never liked sports, ever. Never drank, never did drugs. I mean, I'm not that kind of person. but I pretended I did. I had to hang out with people that did and stuff. All my friends did and stuff. But guess what, people? That doesn't help you find anything spiritual. So these children that are going into sex and stuff, uh, right or wrong, good or bad, they're not taught much about the truth about it. Sexual intercourse and all those kind of words. They don't understand it really. I mean, even when a parent will say, well, that's just young kids playing. They're playing house. Well, if they came into your room and they saw you doing something, oh, we're going to do what mommy does. Programming, it's called. When parents say, when men tell their sons, oh, you got to have a few girlfriends, you got to do this, don't just settle for one, which becomes a perversion in most men's mind. I'm not going to go into it. It's in my book, but the book's written for women only. It should be coming out next month. But people, where do you want to start your programming? You started it a long time ago. Where do you want to finish it? How about right now? Don't accept what most people say. Don't accept anything anybody says, including me, until you can understand it and prove it to yourself what it is, what it isn't. Programming, I'm just talking about family programming. Right, then we got friends now. And all these friends are all programmed in stupid ways, different ways. And they're piling that onto what you believe and think. All right. The program only gets worse. Because now you got other kids' idea of sex and things like that. What's right, what's okay, what's fun. And then you add sports to it. Well, sports is to take away your attention from reality. All right. A temporary distraction. Native people had sports, but they didn't play to win or lose. They played just to have fun, not to make money, not to be tough or big. Boxing and stuff still for being used in public. Why? Why should anybody have the right to get paid to beat somebody else up? Why? Because that kind of thing existed for 100,000 years. Gladiator days never died. They only became worse. They added more animals, more things and weapons, and it just became sicker and sicker. They stopped it for about 60 years and realized people wanted it. And then they just made it even worse. People love to see people suffer. I don't know what the reason behind it is. I can only relate to the aspect that what happened to Jesus, the suffering they put him through. Why? You know, like somebody just kill him. Why torture him? That whatever you want to call it, people like it. These movies that come out with violence and things like that, why? It only programs people. Everything you watch, everything you hear becomes a program when you hear it over. I did hypnosis when I was 12. I started doing it with all my friends by the time I was 14. But person I learned it from was Kreskin. He was the first public hypnotist in the United States, becoming really famous at that time. But his wording, which I know is the most important thing I remember out of the whole idea of hypnosis, is called the power of suggestion. Suggestion over and over creates a program in the brain. I'll tell you this, the killer of John Lennon was programmed. The killer of Oswald was programmed. I'm not going to go into the details. You don't have to believe it or not. 1 year before it happened, people programming through hypnosis is easy. And it's not like they say you can hypnotize a person to do anything if you can hypnotize them. Some people can't be hypnotized. And guess what? It's harder to hypnotize somebody that's stupid than somebody that's smart. Does that make sense? I'll tell you why. A person that's stupid can't retain a thought for more than 5 seconds. Think of this. Think of relaxing. Oh, but I got to play a baseball game today. Oh, I got to do... The mind is so distracted, it can't focus on an idea. A smart person, relax and relax and relax and relax. And they keep the thought. It's easy to program them, easy to hypnotize them. Once a person hypnotized, you can program to believe anything you want them to, make them do anything you want them to do. Not like the hypnotic teachers and classes. You cannot make somebody do anything they don't want to do. That's only because they weren't hypnotized. If they're hypnotized, they will do what you tell them. Period. I'm not going to talk about the UFO world much today, but when aliens abduct people, they program them. And that became famous over the past 10 years in the UFO world. People call it experiences rather than abductees. They're programmed to believe their trip was great. They learned this, that, and all that other baloney. It's all lies. They didn't learn anything. They didn't go where they thought they went. Things that they thought happened didn't happen. Now, a famous person, Corey Good, check out his story. The alien showed him the past, present, and future. He's given a program, believed it, but it's all lies. Aliens don't give us the truth. They never did. Some prophecies they gave us for a reason, who knows, but when a prophecy is not stopped, it's useless. Prophecy is supposed to change something. I mean, if you believe the Bible stories, Sodom and Gomorrah. Noah, if he didn't listen to what he was told, guess what? Noah was a real story, people. They found Noah's Ark. Want to believe that or not, they did. But again, now science likes to prove everything a lie. All of Moses' story, they made it into science. How this happened, how that happened, how that happened, and how that happened. Sure, things can happen the way the scientists said. But to do it like tomorrow, well, all the frogs are going to jump out of the water tomorrow. The water's going to turn to blood tomorrow. I mean, all the things take time through science. It's not like somebody waves a cane and it just instantly happens. Changing a cane into a snake, obviously, science can't prove or disprove that. But when you talk about all these other things, well, the weather did this. The blood in the ocean came from rust in the water, which chased the frogs out of the water. And then the people died because when they created this mist that came from the gas coming off of the water, went into these houses, and the children died because children slept on the ground floor and the parents slept in the higher level. So it only killed the children. So they came up with their reasons why and how, but time frame, it doesn't fit. All right. But there's so much programming all through the Bible. Now, Moses came out with his idea of laws. 10 Commandments weren't good enough, so he created 63. And those laws contained nudity and food and all kinds of things. Because he became a black priest. I mean, black magic priest. I mean, he didn't turn color or anything like that, but not that he was white skinned either. But again, people, we're programmed over. How many times did you see Moses on TV? How many times did you see the story of Jesus? Up until the newer one, the whole Catholic movement forbid the Catholics to go see it because Jesus was put on a cross naked. They hate anything that makes things different than what they want to believe. It's called programming. All the studies that you studied are programs. Everything about the native teachings and religion and path are lies. Written in schools that were given more lies and programming them to believe native people are evil. Always did. People, there was, 50 million native people. 99.9% were killed. There was about 750,000 true native people left today. All right. But when that was happening, how did they make everybody kill native people? Why was everybody getting paid to kill native people? Because when they came here, they said, well, what are we going to do about this? We're going to call them demons. Same as when Moses came off the mountain and gave the orders to kill all these people. Well, they're demons. He has a thing in his hand saying, "Thou shalt not kill." And he says, "Well, kill all these people. They're all demons." You're not killing a person, you're killing a demon. So it makes it okay. He was wrong. I'm not going to go into Moses' story because it's sad, because he was a black priest, black high priest, as well, probably the most powerful magician on the planet. All right. But outside of that, this is hell. And you don't have to believe that either. But who do you think controls it? Who do you think runs this lower realm? Everything in it, including the aliens, Bigfoot, and everything else. It's controlled. Everything's in controlled patterns. Okay, well then why would God create a world with this? Why would God? Because it gave people freedom. All right? And it's same when Jesus said there'll be many much greater than he, which never happened. Nobody was ever greater than Jesus. Nobody. All right. So when he thought that it could happen, and he was wrong. So today, who's great? Who's important? Who's spiritual? Nobody. The Dalai Lama claims this. The Pope claims that. And then you got other people taking on the name of being the most spiritual people on the planet. Deepak Chopra, Eckhart Tolle. Really? They don't even believe in God or know God in any way. Buddha, there was different Buddhas, if you don't know that. There was 4 Buddhas. But Buddha's teachings were the same. All right? Now, I live with a Lama, and it's hard, especially when somebody doesn't believe in God. You want to believe in this universal energy? Why? That means you're connected to every rapist, murderer, and everything else on this planet. Really? That's what you are? No, you're not. You don't have to be. And you shouldn't want to be. Shouldn't accept the idea. It's programmed into your consciousness. We're all the same. No, we're not. Some people are new and reincarnating. Some people have reincarnated many times, like I have. And it's over for me unless I kill somebody or something bad that will create karma, and I'll have to come back. People don't understand the word karma. People think they could go to a healer and get it healed and taken away. I mean, even Revelations written by John said there'll be many false prophets, which there are thousands and thousands of them now on this planet. Then in the UFO world, we got people channeling aliens and everything else under the sun. All lies, people, because none of them, not one of them, can talk about a real God. They don't know God, so how can they talk about it? And God doesn't come into hell, people. Jesus wouldn't come back here. Why would he, people? So you could kill him again? Would you listen to him if he came back? Of course not. You're already programmed to the max. And the program's not getting any better. Never has been. We've been mass killers for 100,000 years already, people. Jesus tried to change things. When he was being tortured, he realized people weren't becoming any better. He left it to Mary Magdalene. And she had to finish teaching the disciples. Only a few of them learned what Jesus was really teaching. Now, Mary Magdalene was as powerful as Jesus was, whether you want to accept that or not. But she was able to leave the country. Only one other disciple was able to leave, and that was Thomas. And what did Thomas do? He went to India to teach Jesus' teachings. And that's why you hear that other stupid story, a program. Oh, Jesus went to India. No, he didn't. Thomas did. And he started teaching Jesus' teachings to them. In those countries, you don't wear a name tag. My name's Joe. I'm Peter Pan. No, you don't. He had a robe on. Had long hair. He's Jesus. I don't know what that noise is, but it must be something. Hold on. Let me see if anything popped up here. I don't know where that noise came from. Somebody's attacking my computer. But what else is new? So, Thomas's teachings were not like Hinduism. Because Hinduism The first religion, and it lasted a very long time, was a sexual religion. I don't know who's talking to me or trying to. I can't find them wherever they are. I can imagine it would be Skype, but I don't see them on Skype. Sorry about that. I try to stay on top of anybody talking to me or trying to talk to me. But I answer all my calls sooner or later, people. I don't give up on people. Not that people want the truth or even care about it. I do the show. I know few people want it or even listen. I mean, I have a lot of people listening here and there after the show. They don't want to listen to it today or can't listen to it right now. But I get questions and different things later on. Let me check one other place that it could be. Nope, not even there. Like I said, I have this noise coming all over my computer. I don't know who's trying to get in touch with me. But people, we're going to go a little deeper. Okay, how do we break programming? Well, I'm going to get into that much deeper in the next part of this, because I still got to tell you, programming. You join the army. Why? Well, when I was 17, you were forced to join the army if you were 1 to 50. But again, my lottery number on that was like 360. I would have never been called. They only called from 1 to 50. My brother was a second lieutenant. He had to go in. But you were programmed when you got in there. You were programmed to kill. Now, smart people during Vietnam War that had some kind of an awareness said, I'm not going to kill people because somebody's telling me to kill people. Which you shouldn't. But they went up to Canada. Canada let them stay there. And then years later, they were allowed back into the United States. But nobody has the right to tell another person to kill somebody. So who would be in war if that was true and people didn't have to do it? How many people really want to go out and kill people? There's some idiots out there that would want to, that's for sure. But in general, let the idiots fight. Like in the boxing match, those two people want to beat each other up. But it shouldn't be legal not to make money. You get into a fight on the street, you both are in court and blah, blah, blah. Because one person had a weapon or decided to hurt somebody, or steal, or rob, or whatever. You know, our programming in the court system has taken over people's thinking. Now, when we go into programming of teachers in school, they have a set program to feed you. All right. And if a teacher goes outside of that, they lose their job. All right. Now, religious schools kind of teach you something about religion. But they feed you, if it's a college, they feed you a lot of other stuff. I mean, a lot of children had to go to Catholic school. All right. Which was a little different than when you go into college. But the programming is the same. Not true. Not the real truth about anything. Not the truth about Jesus, not the truth about God, not the truth about death, not the truth about reincarnation, not the truth about anything. It's the exact same thing in the UFO world right now. And all these people are programmed to believe that aliens are good, they're going to come and help us, and all the stupid, ridiculous ideas based on programming. Aliens are not good people. They never were, and they never will be. If they reincarnate, they'll be different. They'll be learning a new thing because they don't have compassion and all those words, and they'll be learning that. What's this say? I have no clue. Sorry, I'm just getting interrupted. Everything's popping on my screen today. But I don't know where it is where you are. It's 82 right now here and super windy. Our temperature doesn't go below 65 average all year. And we usually stay around 86 to 89 average. So programming, you're programmed to like where you live or not like where you live, programmed to believe that some place is better. No place is better until you experience something different. But the programming about that, you have to become a priest, you have to become a minister, you have to become a rabbi, or you have to become a doctor, you have to become this, you have to become that. You have to smoke. Some people are drunks by the time they're what? How old? I mean, some kids were drinking at 12 years old, shooting up by 14. I mean, and things like that. Who's telling them? Who's programming them? Somebody is. A little kid doesn't go to the streets. I need heroin. Somebody got heroin. I need some needles. Doesn't happen. Everything's a program, people on this planet. Why you're not allowed to eat this, why you shouldn't eat that, why this is good, why organic is better. There's no such thing as organic, people. If it hits the air is toxic. The water's toxic. You filter it, it hits the air. It's the same as it was before it got filtered. So we believe all the programs. The UFO people that have been abducted, most of them believe the programming. But I do a show with a woman who actually is completely aware of most everything that happened. Travis Walton did the movie Fire in the Sky, and he claims all these things that happened and stuff. His story gets better. Every time he tells it, it gets a little better. I'm not saying he wasn't abducted. He probably was, or he was. But he knows very little of what happened. He was hypnotized, and they tried to tell him what was going on. Hypnotism is a bad thing, people. Taking somebody's mind and locking them into something where they can program them to believe or do anything they want them to. A program like that is dangerous at every level. Well, I'm going to help them. I'm going to make them. I'm going to teach them. I'm going to help them find their problem. I did it. I did it for years. But I learned a hard way about a lot of things. I'll tell you things about hypnosis that nobody can tell you. Not one person in the as a teacher or a student in it or whatever can tell you the truth about it. If you hypnotize a person, if I hypnotize you right now, sat you in a chair and said, relax, okay, forget everything. You know what that does? It hypnotizes everything around you and around me. Which means at that point, anything can talk through you. I was the queen of Sheba, I was king of, I was this, I was whatever. Any entity can come through and say whatever they want when you're hypnotized. Well, you were a camel in your past life. Camel? You were this or you were whatever. Any entity can say whatever they want about you or things like that. The guy that's doing it, the person doing hypnosis doesn't have a clue what's real, what isn't, but he believes everything that you're going to be saying because you're hypnotized. So are the things around him. All their entities, even their guides could be hypnotized. We all have spiritual guides. Very few people actually communicate with them to a point. And here's the thing, people, whether you want the truth or not, which most people don't. If you work with a guide, they're not teaching you how to get a better job. Seriously. They're not telling you how to swim. They're not telling you how to fish. They're not telling you any of those things if you got a guide. I'm not talking about a physical guide. I'm talking about a guide on the inner worlds. They're in the inner worlds. That's what they want to teach you. You know, we twist everything over and over and not for anything good. So when you go to a doctor, when you go to even a dentist, in the old days, They use sodium pentothal and things like that. Uh, Different things to put you to sleep. And because of bad things happening, they made sure that you always have another person in the room when you go through something like that. Never should be alone with any doctor, period. Uh, all those kind of things happen because of hypnosis and drugs, truth serum and things like that as well. There's like 5 kinds of truth serum, and not all of them work on one. Not everyone works on the person, so they try different ones. But people, you're still going to be programmed, no matter who you go out there to talk to. Well, I believe that. Who cares what you believe in? You don't know the truth. If you believe in something, means you don't know. Well, religion's a faith and belief. No, it's not. That's man's idea of what it is. The truth is, you got to find the truth. There is a God. There are angels. But what do they teach? What do they do? It's a program, what most people think they do. Everything you know about God is a program. God loves you. God protects you. God watches you. Why? And you heard that phrase, you're just a grain of sand on the beach, 1 grain of sand, or you're 1 drop in the ocean. Oh, if you're 1 drop in the ocean, are you the ocean or 1 drop in it? Well, that's your choice. Buddha would say, we're the ocean. No, you're 1 drop in the ocean. You have an awareness. Don't ever give it up. Don't ever let go of it. That is you. It will always be you. Your soul will always be your soul. Nobody can take that. Nobody can kill it. You can abuse it over and over and come back to this world when it can do incredible things when it leaves this world. The astral plane gives it so many abilities that it doesn't have here. But when you get past the astral plane, you can't imagine how incredible it becomes. You no longer deal with any of the garbage that you deal here. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of Dante's Inferno, and he gives like all these levels of hell. We're in hell. Every level he talks about is here on this planet. Freezing, burning, torture, all those words are part of our reality here. But when it comes to dying, oh, Jesus, come take me, God, protect me, and all those kind of words. But something happens. Depends where you are spiritually or where your awareness is. How much programming you have been fed and believe. So when you're on your dying bed, what do you expect to happen? Who's going to come and save you? Who's going to do what with you? What do you really think is going to happen when you die? Superman's going to take you and fly you through space? What? What do you believe? Jesus is going to come, grab your hand, and take you somewhere? Where's it somewhere? People don't even know what Jesus was teaching in the Bible. My newest book, before the one that's coming out, had the true teachings of Jesus from God Realization. It's important because I go into a few of the things, not in great detail, but in detail, which you should know what Jesus was actually teaching. And it wasn't about what kind of job you can get or how do you get rid of karma. And he explained different things about karma, how all we do is create it. We don't get rid of it. In this reality, sports, drugs, sex will keep you in it always. When you can learn to let go of all that, it changes. Now, here's something that'll keep you from wanting to unfold, which is another thing that's on the bad side of programming. Well, when you die, you become you move into your astral body. You go to the astral plane. It's cool. You can do a lot of things there. And you don't have to do certain things. You can be any age you want. You usually pick between 26 and 36. Some people want to be a child. Don't ask me why. But again, you'll be there for a long time. I mean, otherwise, most people reincarnate between 5 and 10 years if you have to reincarnate. So, but if you get to stay there, you'll be there a long time. Because now you're living in a world And it's much greater in a lot of ways than being here. But you make a decision to move on, to grow more aware. When you let go of your astral body and move into the next realm, many things have to be done. And there's, I call them little gods, also deities. There's 3 on the astral plane. You have to go past them before you can get into the next world. And they don't say, what's your name? Okay, we'll let you through. No, you got to prove that you can go through. It's a key. But I can't tell you what the key is, and I won't. But you got to find the key to get through to the next realm. But here's the thing, people. It might stop a lot of people from moving on. You lose sexual, what's the right word? Genitalia. You're no longer a man or a man or a woman. Picture a light beam coming out of a flashlight. Is that male or female? Well, it's a male flashlight. Oh no, it's a female flashlight. No, it's light. When you move into your light body, it's so different. Everything's different. Everything's greater. That's when you can do anything, go anywhere, be part of anything you want. But there's still moving on from there to a higher plane. When you become pure soul, which is 5 planes up, you are basically almost pure light with an awareness. And you probably will stay there forever. Few souls can move on from there, which different reasons why a soul might do that. I was never one for staying anywhere, period. But when you go just to the 6th plane, the world after the soul plane, you become your own God. Not here on planet Earth, nothing like that. But you create a world and you control it. You can create as many worlds as you want in your world and control it all. And you are playing God. So, if you look at that as a higher level, what Buddha is trying to say, well, one, when you're in a world that you created, it's all one, all your creation. But you didn't create hell. Remember that. You're not the controlling force of hell. I hope I'm not losing everybody. Might be. But all I can say is, if you got this far, I'm glad you stuck around. I'm sure most people can't. The dark side, demon inside a person, doesn't like to go near the light. Satan, who runs most everybody in this reality, in some way, says, no, I'm not going to let them grow. I don't want them to become more spiritual. You know why? Because we'll leave hell. And who's he going to control and play with and use? Nobody. This way you'll keep reincarnating. Oh, I like it here. Somebody's stopping. My computer's saying its activity's being stopped. Something weird's going on, but I don't expect anything different when I do my show. Most of my friends were taken out in the UFO world. Taken out. I know the government says they don't take people out. In Congress, they go, we don't take people out, and we don't do this, we don't do that. Well, I guess you don't know people that have been. I had 16 friends taken out. So, we're being controlled. And right now, guess who's controlling everybody? Mr. Rump, without the T. Basically, when you hear somebody over and over every day, it affects the subconscious mind. There's ways to reprogram the subconscious mind. I say it takes 30 days. And then you could take the program that's in your brain out and put something different in there. But very few people can make it past day 5 even. How many people? I know one person that decided to work it out for 30 days and did the whole thing in 30 days. Which is hard. Every day that goes past day one is slowly taking you away from Satan. Not Lucifer, from Satan. And it doesn't like that. So it'll put more things in your way, more things happening, and everything else to try to sidetrack you. And that's what happens. Oh, I have to go to the doctor. I had to go to the dentist. I had to do this. I had to do that. Anything to take you away from doing it one more day in a row. Robert, that tall speaker, I can never remember his name. I'm one of the most famous speakers, but he says it's what, 15 days? I say that's not enough. Because it's easy to go right back into your programmed idea. You got to completely take it out, wipe it out, and destroy it. And then you can move on to more awareness about spiritual truth. And what is that? There's only one, people. There's only one reason why we're here, one reason why we should want to leave. Not about saving mankind. Nobody's here to do that. You think God would have to create a world to have men save it? No, we're only here to supposedly to make it better. And sadly, we aren't doing that. Nobody is. Imagine if we work together. 8 billion people working together? Imagine that. How many people that we got working together? Well, Christian movement has 2.5 billion people. Are they working together in their ego? They are. Are they working together in awareness? Of course not. Muslims is 2.23, somewhere around there. Are they working together? In their mind, they are. In reality, no. What they do to women, what religions do to women. And we're talking about what year are we in? 2020. We were in 23, right? Going into 24 in the year. 1 year, we got of this. Then we'll be in 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. That's how many years we got left to be in a reality that we think we're in. And it will all change completely. Whether you think you can stop it or not, people think they can. What, by praying? People create things to protect their ego. Do you see Trump on his knees on the internet now? A lot. Who's he praying to? God? God says, oh, you got to be a bigger brain. He says he's going to be a dictator the first day. Think God needs a dictator on planet Earth? People are delusional by what they create in their reality. I mean, how would you accept the idea, God wants me to do this? God, well, you know if you're crazy. And that's a serious, different aspect of who you are. What's really crazy and what's not, all right? I consider myself crazy. I say I'm crazy, go insane. Everybody else is sane, going crazy. Where would you want to be? I'm happy where I am that way. I mean, I'm not happy on planet Earth because it's hell and it's pretty pathetic. And I'm looking forward to leaving it. I died 5 times. Each time I was shown greater things. So yeah, why do I want to stay here? Because I have a partner and I have a dog. If I didn't have them right now, I would not be here. Well, I said I had 5 death experiences, and the last one said, well, do you really want to go back? And I said, yes, I need to do a book. One more book. And it's being edited right now. It's just about done. They're up to chapter 20. I didn't write it in chapters, but they're putting it into chapters. So it should be almost done. So yeah, I'm bad with the English language. So yeah, they're having a real hard time editing it. But it will be decent, readable in every way and all that, which will be cool. Because usually it's just Microsoft Word that edits my book and things like that. So looking forward to my book coming out. I want to help women greatly. Not to become spiritual. That's hard. It's really hard to try to do that. But just to stay protected in the physical reality. Now, the other thing about protection, all right, and programming, do they go together? Of course not. How many parents protect their children in any way? At a spiritual level, they don't even know how. I mean, if you study voodoo, witchcraft, Santeria, they all have different ways. Putting eggs in the corner of the room, putting garlic over the doorway, and burning sage and musk and different things like that. Well, even the Ten Commandments, story of birth of Jesus when the three wise men brought him three incense gold, and what do you call it? These things were all for purifying. I don't know if people knew that or not. And they were giving it to a baby being born. Really? But people, programming, I said, started when you were little, and it continues until the day you die. Trump's out there praying on his knees. To who? To what? For what? What's he expect to get? Become president. And then what's he expect? To be a dictator. To control the world. To be in politics, you have to have a bad, big ego. Because nobody has the right to control other people. Nobody. Even worse, people. No man has the right to tell a woman what to do with her body. Men have been corrupt all through history. For 100,000 years, men have always controlled women. I'm surprised women just didn't kill all the men straight out. They killed all the natives. When they went into the tribes, they raped the native women. Even in Tibet, they did it to the women and stuff. Men are pathetic. That's why I wrote my new book, for women only. Understanding a man's ego and mind, whatever. I'm not sure about the title on that yet, on the end of it. But it goes into every aspect of life for women. Now, we are different in different lifetimes. We're male or female. Now, on the average, you usually stay one, whether it's a female or a male. But you do shift to the opposite. So if your last life, you were a woman and you're a man now, or vice versa, you're going to have problems dealing with this reality. I can remember distinctly giving birth to a child and all those kind of things. Well, you don't know what it's like. Yes, I do. I know what I was. I know how it was and everything else. So it can be beneficial in a lot of ways, but it's also nothing beautiful is going to come out of it because you're always in hell. When you have a death experience and you're out of your body, you're not. The programming is to keep you here in your body. Why do you think a lot of people commit suicide? Or, a couple of states are giving the people right to die, but they seriously have to come up with all these horrible things going on for that to happen. Most people that are sick and in extreme pain really are tired. And the government knows that. So you know what they're doing? Taking the medicine away from the sick people. I'm not going to get into UN Agenda 21-30, people. That's what it's all about. But back to the programming. Are you ready to break it? Do you want to find truth? What's going to happen when you die? Well, you're going to leave your family. That's one. You're going to leave your animals. But then what? It doesn't get easier, people. It never will. On a spiritual path, it always gets harder in this reality. Because you are limited to a body. Once you let go of that, you're much greater. And you're more useful to God, which you're not here. As long as you believe in Batman or whatever, you think God needs that as help or a beneficial reason for anything? To help his world become beautiful or incredible? People, my email is hawksblood1@aol.com. Text me, write me if you have questions, please. I'll answer them. I don't hide from the truth, ever. I don't lie or cheat, ever. All right? So what I give you is the ultimate truth that, but is that good enough for you? And one of the most important thing is to how to get out of the body. Not drunk or drugs. How to get out of the body. My eyes are going crazy too now. So people, think about it. Send this email or site to everybody you know, if you possibly can. Let them decide if they want to listen to it or not. I mean, Christians have their problem, Muslims have their problem, all religions have a problem. Whether they want to deal with it or not is a different story. Where do you go when you want to move forward? Important question to ask yourself. What's your next step? Who? How? How's it going to happen? Listen to Deep October. Pull up the Dalai Lama and listen to that. I hear it in the background at my house all the time. Don't be a part of it while you're part of it. I mean, the old thing where we're here but we're not really here. I mean, all those kind of statements. But if you're feeling pain, you're here. When Jesus was put on a cross, he felt it. When he was being beat and tortured, he was feeling it. All right, people. Tommy Hawksblood here, calling from the Big Island of Hawaii. Till next time. Tell me where you heard it. Tell me where you didn't hear it. However you want to word it. But the truth is out there. And you need to find it soon. Not going to have much chances later on.
Raise my eyes to the wild blue yonder. I can't believe what I see, and it makes me wonder why it's falling down.